Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, now with an easy grip handle. Here's what's coming up. Is Trump the new climate change? How the left is using the Donald as a cautionary tale at commencement speeches. Disgusting or delicious? You decide. Plus, an anti-gay slur on a cake that wasn't real. If only there was a word that rhymed with cake that describes something that isn't real. And later, Joanne and Kat get answers from Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg. Namely, can the guy just once put on a suit and tie? You're not 13 anymore, fella. Let's get started, America. The burrito I just ate is making a move. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's the sonic boom of the courtroom. Legendary Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz. He's got a new book, Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law. Wow. She's like the Las Vegas Strip, always lit. Our lovable lush, Joanne Nosuchinsky. She's so sharp, balloons have a restraining order against her. Gillian Turner, former National Security Council member and a Fox News contributor. And like bloating and acid reflux, he causes everyone discomfort. Gavin McInnes, host of the Gavin McInnes Show. Finally, don't ask her to do laundry because she's always without cheer. It's National Review reporter Katherine Timpf. But first, Donald Trump now leads Hillary Clinton in the latest Fox News national poll by 3 points. That's within the margin of error, as they say in my hot tub. Last month, Clinton was ahead by 7, 11 points the month before that. So what's that causing? Fear. Abject fear. Hillary's now so scared she's pulling a bait and switch. Vote for her, you get Bill instead.
My husband, who I'm going to put in charge of revitalizing the economy, because, you know, he knows how to do it.
He knows how to do it. All right. It's true. That was in Kentucky, where she barely beat human hair clog Bernie Sanders. But she isn't the only frightened one. This year, many college commencement speakers are now using Trump to warn graduates of impending doom. A combo of greed and bigotry. Trump's the Reese's peanut butter cup of evil.
Suggesting that we can build an endless wall along our borders and blame our challenges on immigrants. That doesn't just run counter to our history as the world's melting pot. It contradicts the evidence.
You are the most diverse class in Northeastern's history. In other words, you are Donald Trump's worst nightmare.
I never imagined I would visit foreign countries. I never imagined I would be a commencement speaker. I never imagined I would get into a Twitter war with Donald Trump.
Interesting, her Native American name is Nails on a Chalkboard. So, is Trump the new climate change? The looming threat young people must guard against, like bath salts and male pattern baldness. When you see Trump coming, you instantly think this. Commencement addresses are now monotonous trigger warnings against Donald, PSAs warning against some evil contagion that's infecting the public like a political herpes. Meanwhile, no one's calling Hillary out for using Bill to fix the economy. Talk about reinforcing stereotypes. Note to female grads, better stick to the receptionist work. Division makes your head hurt. So why is Trump viewed as evil? Let's face it, he is. He's a white, old, rich guy, and in a left-wing world, that is evil. Of course, they ignore Sanders, who is old and white, but too incompetent to be rich. Trump's really just Bernie with billions. But the problem with these anti-Trump tirades, they help Trump. If you want me to embrace a behavior, tell me that it's harmful. These naysayers succeed in turning Trump into the ultimate bad boy. He's James Dean with orange hair. He's Godzilla with tan lines. The fact is, the more you warn us of him, the more we warm to him. You're making him dangerous, and dangerous is sexy. Case in point. Tell me you're not aroused.
Period.
Thank you. All right, Professor.
Yep.
Two issues going on here. You got Hillary that's terrified, so she's seeking out Bill to do the math, which seems kind of disturbing. What do you make of that?
got Larry Summers fired from Harvard when he said maybe women can't do the math as well as men. Look, Bill Clinton was a great president, and I don't blame her for pointing to the great economic development we had during his tenure. But look, we're voting for her, not for him.
Yeah, but Bill doesn't look too healthy these days.
No, he's doing fine. I actually was with him not so long ago. He's thin, and he's vegan, and he doesn't maybe have as much
awful.
G, but no, his mind is like that, and people still love him. He would run if he ran for president. He'd win overwhelmingly.
I don't know why you'd be vegan. Animals can't vote. What are they going to do? He's not eating me. I'm in that. You, young lady, have met Trump a number of times, I believe.
Yes. 2 is the precise.
Exactly. Should Hillary be panicking?
Honestly, yes, because I think there was a recent poll that says voters trust Donald Trump with the economy more than Hillary Clinton. So I think that's why she's now saying, because Bill did such a good job, that will kind of give voters the confidence to vote for me because someone else will get the job done. But I don't want to vote for a woman who doesn't even believe in herself. You know, as a millennial, we're all about that, like, you know, I'm going to lead the world. I'm so important.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. Cat, maybe not. No.
Yeah, millennials, it just sounds like a cookie to me. Gillian, Pepperidge Farms. Gillian, how do you feel about Hillary's statement about putting Bill in charge? And do you think that Trump could win this?
I don't love the idea that she's sort of touting that she's going to hand off this huge portfolio to her husband. But if we're honest, this is what all the candidates do. I mean, Donald Trump would be not doing so well if he couldn't hold up all these great hires and all these best people we're going to put in all these positions. And that same poll that Joe mentioned put her ahead of Bill Clinton, ahead of Donald Trump on foreign policy when it comes to the nation's trust. It was kind of a nuanced breakdown on foreign policy issues. He won on, I think, deploying military force abroad. She won on having her finger on the nuclear trigger. Maybe it was reverse. I think maybe it was the reverse.
Her fingers are longer, that's why.
No, maybe that's what it was.
It's funny, though, when you look at Hillary's numbers, delegates and some favorability numbers compared to Trump, it looks like she can't lose. But then when you look at her as a candidate, you don't think she can win. There's a weird contradiction there, I think.
Yeah, and then someone else was pointing out, like, it seems like Bernie's winning all the time on all of these polls, and then when we have actual voting, it's like, what happened? Like, he keeps winning, but he's not actually winning.
Yeah. If he ran, he'd win 2 states. He would pose no danger to anybody as a winner. As a loser, he is the most dangerous person in politics today because he is pushing Hillary way, way, way to the left, to the irrational left, where she's going to lose because she has to win the middle. My advice to Hillary, ignore Sanders. Ignore him. Ignore his voters. They'll vote for you anyway, but don't allow yourself to be pushed to the left where you're going to lose this election.
You know,
don't give our game away, please.
Gavin, you were in a punk band. What was the name of it?
Anal Chinook.
Anal Chinook, okay.
Chinook is an Inuit word. It means warm wind.
Oh, okay, got it. So what got me into punk rock was that all the news reports were telling me how harmful and dangerous it was. When the Sex Pistols came to Winterland, they were telling me, do not go. And I fell in love with the Sex Pistols immediately. Isn't that what's happening in a way with Trump? That the more you make him a dangerous figure, the more enticing it becomes.
Yeah, it's sort of like whenever I'm courting a woman, I always talk to the father and try to make myself sound as scary as possible. If he bans her from seeing me, I'm in. That's the key right there.
You should just walk in shirtless and you can see your back tattoo.
If you like a girl, just go up to the dad and slap him in the face.
Has your strategy changed at all now that you're married?
No, not at all. The mistress's fathers are even more protective because she's getting older.
You know, I bet you agreed with Hillary about getting Bill in charge.
I did.
Yeah.
He's been the most frugal president in the past quarter century. So if we're already screwed and we have Hillary Clinton for president, I'll take Bill.
Yeah.
Fine. It's lesser of two evils.
Kat, by the numbers, Hillary looks like she's still ahead, really, but it doesn't look like it's going to last for long.
No, I think that what she's dealing with right now is what the GOP was dealing with the entire primary season, being like, yeah, I see the numbers going up, but it's Trump. It doesn't matter. You know, he says these crazy things. People are going to stop supporting him. But what actually is happening is continuing on. Whenever he says something crazy, instead of being upset, people are like, you're doggone right.
Yes.
That's exactly. And then these poll numbers go up. So she's thinking Donald Trump, whatever. It's going to keep getting harder and harder, especially because the more people see of her, the less they like her. Because what's there to like?
Oh, come on.
It's true.
I hear she is likable.
I know her well. She is a very likable person. She has a lot of friends. She's very loyal.
She has a lot of friends.
A lot of friends who are extremely loyal. She is not the best TV, large group politician.
Try cheating on her, Alan. When you cheat on her, she gets real mad. That's when you got to wear the big sunglasses.
But you know what?
Oh, the cupboard hit me again.
No, that's the one thing I don't blame her for being mad when your husband's cheating. You should be mad, right?
Yeah, you should.
I have a weird prediction. I believe that it's possible that Trump could get the popular vote.
Yeah.
And then Hillary gets the delegates. And then there's going to be so much antipathy, it could get ugly.
It could, and it wouldn't be the first time, of course, Bush versus Gore. But I see Trump winning in the South overwhelmingly. Overwhelmingly. The states he wins by 80 to 20, 70 to 30.
Right.
And then the close races in Pennsylvania and Ohio, Hillary pulls out. He wins the popular vote. She wins the electoral vote. The people with the pitchfork say, we didn't realize the Constitution doesn't give our vote the right to decide who's the president. We could have a problem.
Yeah, I think it's going to get very scary.
I can't wait for the debates.
Yes.
I really can't. She's going to be talking about policies, and he's going to be like, well, listen, you know, she lies and she's crooked, and I'm going to make America great again, and everyone's going to cheer.
Yeah. That is all you need to do. I've learned a lot of lessons from Donald. All right, up next. Are cats a better diet alternative than soy? We do a taste test. A little later, new technology that could make lawyers obsolete. I'm sorry, Professor. Is it the worst invention ever? Or the best? But first, can we come up with a faster way to figure out what happens in air disasters? One kid working on a way. I can't even forget how to change my password. I hate this kid. So another plane falls from the sky, and as of now, no one really knows why, which leads me to ask, why don't we know why? Take a look at this. This is a live feed of a panda. It's adorable. Here's a live feed of a Las Vegas wedding chapel. It's depressing. Here's a live chicken. I don't know why. This is an intersection in Oklahoma. They have them there. This is a puddle. This is the Abbey Road zebra crossing. This is the boardwalk at Myrtle Beach. This is a colony of ants. Yes, these are live feeds of things that we don't need to see live, yet we do all the time. Meanwhile, things that we need to see, like what's going on inside a cockpit, zilch. But if we can already beam live baseball games to TVs on a plane, why can't we do the reverse? How about one GoPro in a cockpit? I'm no scientist. I can barely feed myself. But isn't this solvable? A kid named Jeremiah Pate came up with one solution. This 17-year-old patented a system that offers real-time info, tracking airlines, which he presented at the 2015 Intel Science and Engineering Fair. It's called Amelia, Aircraft Monitoring and Electronically Linked Instant Analytics. It streams mechanical data before the airline goes down, unlike black boxes, which can only be accessed once the poop hits the fan and it's too late. Now, streaming real-time data would cost a ton, so Jeremiah's solution recognizes signs of equipment failure and transmits that data rather than a continual stream, which makes it far cheaper. To quote this kid, supervisory parametric analysis algorithms recognize the warning signs of failure. Another layer of logic is then used to rate data in order of urgency. The data is then transmitted through satellite. Now, can I remind you, that's from a 17-year-old. What was I doing when I was 17? In conclusion, if it weren't for brilliant, brilliant nerds, nothing would get done and we'd all probably die.
Period.
All right. Joining us from Arizona, 17-year-old whiz kid, Jeremiah Pate. Jeremiah, very smart guy. What did the judges at the science fair tell you about your project when you told them about it?
They said it was a fascinating...
Go ahead.
They said it was a fascinating idea, and it was very impressive. But they said there's so much red tape right now that such a system wouldn't exactly be implemented. So what I proved with my project is the technology is there. It's just a matter of regulation barriers.
Yeah. And yours is so much cheaper. How much cheaper is it than any other solution?
Well, the other solutions cost about $100,000. I was able to make this at around $500.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Don't come up with the next Angry Birds app. I think you should stick to doing this. When you're a multi-billionaire changing the world, will you still remember me and come back to my show?
Absolutely.
I hope so. I have another question for you just personally. Do you plan on going to college?
Yes, I do.
Why? You don't need it.
You're not the first person to ask me.
You don't need to go. If anything, you're going to get dumber if you go to college. You're already a genius. You're already genius, Jeremiah. You're going to go to University of Arizona. You're going to join a fraternity. We're never going to hear from you again. I know, it's true, isn't it? What are you working on next?
I'm actually working on a cybersecurity system, which is a photonic chip. Basically, it uses quantum mechanics to keep our computers safe.
Of course you are. Of course that's what you're working on. That's what you're working on. By the way, quantum mechanics, I've been reading a lot on that. It confuses the hell out of me. It's like a particle can be in more than one place at once, which freaks me out.
Right.
That's quantum physics. Thank you, Joanne. Miss New York. Are you worried about artificial intelligence?
Sometimes.
I have a feeling you're more worried about me. All right. Jeremiah, thank you for doing the show. You're going to be huge. And just remember this little freak that interviewed you years ago after you skipped college. Thanks, Jeremiah. All right.
Thanks so much.
Gillian, you've looked into this before about why they don't have live streaming or anything like this. What did you find?
Well, first, I just want to say on air that he stole my idea about that quantum physics chip. I've been working on it for 6 months already. So anyway, it was my idea first. We definitely have the technology, it turns out.
Yeah.
We've got a live feed from the International Space Station.
Yes.
So if we can have that, we can certainly have one in the cockpit.
And by the way, how
Apparently.
boring is that? All you see are people with their hair floating everywhere. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So apparently, he's right. Jeremiah's right. There's a lot of red tape, and a lot of the pushback is coming from pilots. The chairman of the NTSB testified in front of the Senate last year advocating to implement this, to put these live feeds in the cockpits. He said that they could afford to do it. It was a great idea. Pilots don't like it, very interestingly, because they feel that those data recorders that are on the planes generate enough information already, and that, I mean, think about if you had a camera on you in your office all day, you might get us up too.
You have a lot of websites I won't be going to anymore. And I button up my pants. Doesn't this remind you a little bit of the controversy with the police, not wanting to have body cams?
Oh, sure.
And
everybody in the beginning says they don't want to be watched. Then they get so used to it.
Yeah.
It's like second nature. There's no question we should figure out a way of getting real-time information from airplanes, not only to find out what happened afterward, but perhaps to prevent.
Exactly. Just a final word to Kat and Joanne. He's single. Jeremiah.
Yeah, and not 18.
So what you're saying, the perfect guy. That'll never happen. You're not a teacher.
That's true.
Coming up, I reveal the location of the lost city of Atlantis. But first, Mark Zuckerberg sent some prominent conservatives a friend request. Should they confirm him or block him forever? This week, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg met with top conservative leaders after the company was accused of being biased against right-leaning views. 16 conservatives attended the meeting, including co-host of Fox & Friends Weekend Tucker Carlson, radio host Glenn Beck, 5 co-hosts Dana Perino, here she's nice, and of course, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, although he's really more of a libertarian. Of course, I wasn't invited. Not like I care. I had other things to do. Cameras were not allowed in the meeting, but those who attended seemed to believe it was successful. However, we sent a spy, and we obtained secret footage from this meeting, and we're not so sure it went that well. Wow, that seems like a good time. All right, Joanne, I want to go to you first. What do you think about Facebook being biased against conservatives?
Well, I don't know what to think, because a closed-door meeting doesn't exactly tell us much. So Kat and I decided to take matters into our own hands. We put together a second meeting with Mark. Yeah, and we have footage for everyone to see. Oh,
Mark.
Yeah.
It just calls out all the important stuff and features all the stuff that you want it to.
What's with the t-shirt?
Honestly, I feel overdressed. Like, that's not a way to relate to me.
Look at me, I'm a normal guy. I'm in a t-shirt, just like your friends are.
Okay, Mark, I have a lot to say, and I'm not quite sure where to begin.
You can say where you're from, where you went to school, where you work, whether you're in a relationship, maybe list some interests, but not much else.
Okay, Freehold, Rider University, Fox News. It's complicated. Yoga and listening to music.
What is this guy's deal? My Uncle Andy recently joined Facebook, and he says you're just a manipulative opportunist who talks out of his ass. Thoughts?
So, although Andy was joking, a lot of the points that he made were actually right.
Wow, that's really big of you to admit. Roughly how many people have you pissed off with this trending nonsense?
More than 25 million people.
Yep, that seems about right. Yeah.
On my timeline the other day, I compared Bernie Sanders to Adam Sandler and Happy Gilmore. Did you see it?
It's simple, but it's really, really powerful.
Thank you. How did that only get 5 likes? Okay, last question. You stole this idea from the Winklevoss brothers, didn't you?
Come on, Mark, tell us.
Yeah.
Wow, we're going to take that as a yes.
Wow, that's a yes. Yeah, wow.
What else have you stolen?
Yeah. What else have you stolen from the Winklevi?
Get out of here.
This is just
sick.
Steal. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. Ugh.
Wow. I learned nothing.
We learned nothing.
I learned nothing. I learned nothing, Kat.
Nothing, really? He stole it from the Winklevi version.
Yes. They're twins.
Well, you know, I have a grudge. I have a grudge against Mark Zuckerberg. Every kid at Harvard who comes up with a harebrained idea used to come to me and say, give me a little legal advice and I'll give you stock in a company. This guy never walked into my office. So forget about it.
So you have a personal grudge against Facebook, dude.
Yeah.
Gavin, what do you make of this whole controversy as a person who writes for websites that are deemed ultra-conservative?
I'm a little disappointed in conservatives, actually, for thinking that this is a big deal. You know Facebook is garbage. Now, I guess it's good news that the Tea Party moms who dominate Facebook know that their news is being curated, but you're not supposed to get your news from Facebook. This is what we've been making fun of the left for. We just had that whole women's soccer thing was based on a stupid fake Facebook meme. Mm-hmm. Facebook is for checking in on your exes from high school and seeing how badly they've aged.
Yes.
Mine works at Sears.
Which is a lovely department store.
But he was working at Sears when you were dating him.
No.
So that's on you.
No. He tried to go to school for 7 years, but it's not for everybody.
Yes. Gillian, was this, Gavin says it's not a big story. Was it a big story?
I don't think so, particularly. I mean, I love Sheryl Sandberg. I've been leaning in for years.
Yes.
And I was talking to Tucker Carlson yesterday, and he said that one of the most interesting things about this meeting was that she was eating mini Twix the entire time. She's like 5'2" and really skinny. And so we were wondering how just this one meeting, when he got to be in there, literally the entire time eating.
Sounds like Tucker was paying close attention.
Yeah, that's Tucker was watching a woman eat.
I do think it's an important story, but the point is that Facebook is not a utility. We use this stuff so much that we think it's water and electricity. You don't deserve Twitter. You don't deserve Facebook. It's something you signed up for. It's not your right.
That's true. It is a private, Professor, it's a private company. They could do whatever they want.
Well, it's private, but it's dominating when you think about how different the economy looks today with Facebook and Google. And it's amazing the impact it's had.
Could you argue that Facebook has hurt the economy because it's taken people out of actually doing things and just looking at things?
It could be.
Yeah.
But certainly, I can tell you this. When I used to teach at Harvard Law School, I would tell my students for the first 2 weeks, no computers and no pencils. They have to learn how to listen. Then when they got their computers, and I used to have a couple of students sitting in the back of the room telling me what they were doing on their computers, it was amazing how people just waste time on computers.
Yes, yes.
But Fox News has done very well by Facebook.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, but
Can't not point that out in this conversation.
He actually brought that up. He also said Trump does very well on Facebook. Maybe it's because there's, when conservatives are now more willing to talk about what they believe in, which is a relatively new thing.
You know, that you heard John Kerry in the beginning of your show. We have the most diverse. It is the least diverse time in American higher education. There is no diversity. There are people who have different colors, different genders, different sexual orientations, but in terms of ideas, forget about it. You try to find a conservative. Look, I'm a liberal. I love to have conservatives in my class. You have to search around, try to find a conservative colleague on the Harvard Law School faculty or in any faculty. We are doing nothing to get real intellectual diversity in universities.
Who was your smartest law student?
Well, not my smartest. Ted Cruz was one of my smartest. I had Elliot Spitzer, who was very, very smart, too. I've had a lot of...
Was he wearing his socks in class?
No. But he was brilliant. He was one of my best researchers.
Cruz or Spitzer?
No, Spitzer, but Cruz was a great student. Because he was a conservative. And because I loved being able to argue with him. He came into class the first day with his right hand raised. Never put it down the whole semester.
Don't doubt that.
Everything I said he contradicted. And he was right once or twice.
There you go. That's the lesson that any liberal watching right now. If you want to be a better liberal, you have conservatives. It's always about the engine of criticism, the guardrails of scrutiny, you know?
Oh, I can't argue with liberals anymore because they haven't heard of anything. I was arguing with a liberal the other day, and I said, how many illegals are there in America? And she said, I don't know, like 70 billion?
You sure you're...
We're not doing this anymore.
You sure
Get
you're
out of
talking
here.
about liberals or are you talking about radicals?
No, liberals, Democrats. You just ask them the basics and they don't have the tools. But you talk to a neocon versus a paleocon, that's a much more stimulating debate.
You don't think Hillary Clinton knows things? I mean, she probably knows so much that she may bore people, but she's a liberal. Liberals know a lot.
The problem with her is that she knows too much.
Well, I didn't know that Benghazi could do with some backup.
Like radicals on the left and the right.
She's a radical. She's rules for radicals personified. That's her rule book.
She does love Saul Alinsky. But now I think we've gone too far because we've got more show to come and we've got to take a break. Coming up, a story so frightening I've locked it in a box under my bed. It's scratching. The story of a cake that was a fake. Where's the outrage? Seriously, outrage, you never call me anymore. Stick around. It's my favorite.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like to be part of our studio audience, email Greg Tix at foxnews.com.
He defaced a cake, and it turns out he's a fake. A gay Texas pastor who accused Whole Foods of writing a slur on a cake with icing has dropped his lawsuit. Jordan Brown initially claimed back in April that he picked up this cake from the grocery store chain that contained an anti-gay slur. He posted a video, of course, to YouTube, claiming that the box was never opened and the sticker remained intact, attempting to prove that homophobia is running rampant in the bakery world. But he made up the whole thing. And you could count the number of people surprised by this on a fingerless hand. In his apology, he says he was, quote, wrong to pursue this matter and use the media to perpetuate this story. I want to apologize to Whole Foods for questioning the company's commitment to its values, and especially the bakery associate who was put in a terrible position because of my actions. I apologize to the LGBT community for diverting attention from real issues. Now, this kills me. Whole Foods initially filed a countersuit against this pastor, but has since dropped that lawsuit for reasons that make zero sense to me, Professor. If you drop the lawsuit, then there is no incentive to stop this kind of behavior. Shouldn't Whole Foods just go right after this guy?
Absolutely, sure. And not only Whole Foods, but the gay and lesbian community should go after this guy big time. When you make up false stories, you really destroy credibility. Look, I went through this, my experience myself. I was falsely accused of having sex with some 17-year-old who I never met. And the worst victim...
Turned out you knew her. No, I'm kidding.
Well, they apologized. They withdrew the charge.
Yeah.
The lawyers withdrew the charge.
Yeah.
FBI guy said it couldn't have happened. But the worst victims are real rape victims.
Yeah.
She hurt real rape victims.
Exactly.
By making up a story about me, she hurt real rape victims.
Because then nobody actually trusts anybody anymore.
Yeah, so he hurt the people that really are getting cakes like that.
Yeah.
Tawana Brawley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so many other homophobic bakers out there.
How did he think that Whole Foods would be like, well, I guess, you know what, maybe we did do that.
Well, you know, there are homophobic bakers. One of the big cases was a bakery that wouldn't cater a wedding for a gay couple, and they brought a lawsuit. So, yeah.
But then that's a little bit different. That's different than writing, the F word on a cake. Gillian, what should Whole Foods do in this situation?
Here's what everybody should do. One of the greatest gifts I've ever been given was a few years ago, a dear friend of mine sent me a web link to this website called cakerex.com. I'm not affiliated with this. I'm not making any money. It's the best 2 hours of my life I've ever spent. It's an amazing website. Everybody goes to the site and posts pictures of these crazy cakes that they get, meaning when bakers mess up.
Yes.
It's amazing.
I like that
That's
idea.
the best 2 hours of your life.
Oh, wow. That's right. But then again, I bet the people in the industry don't like it.
I was crying. They were so funny.
All right, Gavin.
I knew this story was fake right out of the gate because no one is that funny. Like the idea of a guy going, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to get fired. The guy next to him is going, dude, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going out in the blaze of glory. Here's the cake. And then he just starts packing up his locker and waiting for the manager to come storming down. I want to hang out with that guy.
I think the actual baker was gay, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So that would be even, I guess, funnier. I don't know.
I just want
by your logic.
The pastor did that himself. I want to see him doing that. He's like,
yeah, if you were gay and you got that cake, you'd go, that's a little extreme, but you seem like a funny guy. Do you want to come to my party? That was hilarious. Love wins.
Joanne, you know what bothers me is that there's a get-out-of-jail card with this kind of behavior by calling it a psychological issue. Yeah. Like if somebody perpetuates a hoax, they go, well, we put them into counseling instead of jail. Imagine if you were on Wall Street and you perpetuated some kind of fraud and you said, you're right. That was a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm going into therapy.
Well, and it's even sadder because this man is a pastor, and yet will probably use forgiveness to find a way to, appreciate this man for all of his flaws. He probably wasn't hugged enough as a child, so I recommend that to all adults. Hug your children, and also
but don't hug anybody else's children.
And just stick to Fudgy the Whale cakes. You never have this issue with those. I mean, they are underappreciated.
Yes. Is that Carvel?
I believe so.
Yes. Maybe they'll send you a cake.
Wait, can I get the camera on me real quick? Real quick, camera 2.
There you go. Do you have a Twitch? I think that they have to sue, and I'm really mad at Whole Foods for not suing.
Yeah, because it's a great example of the supply of bigots not meeting the demand. So they have to, I'm not kidding.
That is true.
They fabricate bigots out of thin air because it's an industry.
Yeah, it is. It's a grievance extortion industry that gives you attention and celebrityhood. This guy got attention and he got celebrity. That's an incentive. That's why you need a counter incentive, which is a suit that just ruins the guy financially so that everybody goes, not doing that. I'm not doing that. Whole Foods could have given the money to charity.
Yeah.
There you go. It always works that way. Up next, robots. They're destined to take over all of our jobs, except mine, of course, because I'm irreplaceable. Just kidding, I'm already a robot. Stick around.
Robocalypse.
Yes, of course robots will kill us all, but that's later. First, they're going to take our jobs, and some already have. China, Japan, South Korea, and Thailand have restaurants where robots prepare and serve food and drinks. And a few weeks ago, students in an online class at Georgia Tech, which is a school, learned that a professor's assistant named Jill, who they corresponded with all semester, was a robot. But as one student noted, she sounded hot. Meanwhile, a company called Ross Intelligence has built the first robot lawyer using IBM's Watson software. Yes, a robot lawyer. So if in 6 months there isn't a movie called Robot Lawyer starring Steve Guttenberg or one of those brothers from Wings, I'm setting fire to my hair. All right. Are you worried, Professor? You're a lawyer.
I'm not worried, but I think a lot of mediocre lawyers should be worried.
Yeah.
Because robots can do a lot of the work that second-rate lawyers do and charge too much money for. Creativity, maybe that's a little harder to bring about in a robot, but I think it's probably a good thing.
It's hard to do sexy TV shows with robot lawyers where they're all drinking martinis at night.
They just like short wire. They short circuit.
Yeah, they drink a martini and all of a sudden they just go. But, maybe they'll drink motor oil. Gillian, I'm obsessed with artificial intelligence. I do think it's a bigger threat, possibly, than terror. Am I crazy?
Let's put that question aside. I like the story because I think why should robots only be filling in for kind of low-wage, low-skill jobs, packing boxes for Amazon?
Yeah,
let this be an equal opportunity. Thing here, so I like that part of the story.
Sounds to me like they're replacing paralegals, not really lawyers, and which is okay by me. I don't know many paralegals.
But they still have to go to law school.
Do they?
I think.
The robots?
The paralegals, whether
I've had a few robots in my class.
Yes. Well, you had Ted Cruz.
Right.
No, he's not a robot. He's the opposite of a robot, Gavin. You called me crazy. Because I keep talking about how artificial intelligence, once the computers reach singularity and surpass us in IQ, we're going to be like chickens in a farm compared to the intelligence of computers.
The only time you have a point is if we're talking about the next 1,000,000 years.
No, it's going to happen in 30 years.
The sun is going to burn out eventually, too. Ooh, I'm scared.
It's going to happen in 30 years.
This is what you do with robots, and I've done this 1,000,000 times. When they show up and they're like, hello, how are you? I'm human. You go, really? Why don't you tell me a little bit about love and humor? And they go,
Try that with people sometime. Love and humor.
I think they're going to take over. I think we should be very nice to machines.
Yeah, nice to machines.
When
Exactly.
the elevator door opens, I always say thank you, hoping that he'll tell his machine friends, and then they will let me keep my job. Am I right? Am I the smartest person?
Hey, machines, I'm not scared of you. Come on, crane camera.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I think it's horrible how mean he is being to you guys. I'm going to be safe. You're going to regret it.
I've been like this forever, Joanne. I'm so nice to my appliances. Sometimes I even sleep with them.
Oh gosh, yeah, you don't want to do that. My only concern is robots filling these service and hospitality jobs, because I think that everyone should work a job in the service industry because it humanizes you. Having to interact with other people, having to get something for them when they ask for it and deliver with a smile is so important. And unfortunately, we're going to have youth who never adjusts well.
They might never work.
Jobs.
Well,
that's the big fear. They might never work
because they don't know how to serve.
What? I know. Wait, don't. I don't even want to know what he said.
Yeah. Women in the kitchen, have a bunch of babies. I'm Gavin McInnes. Blah blah blah.
I think you just wrote the title of his next book. All right, coming up, I try on my new bathing suit made of dental floss. It's a present for your eyes. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Tonight's show is sponsored by my neighbor Carl. He's a good dude once you get to know him, except for that one time he asked me to get him an extra Yankee ticket and then never showed. Classic Carl.
We're almost out of time, so...
What you've wanted to say all show, but haven't had the chance to say, so here's your chance to say it. Right now.
Professor?
The country's in danger from the hard right and the hard left. That's why I'm writing a book called Why I Left the Left But Couldn't Join the Right, the case for the boring middle.
Brilliant! Joe?
I also really like carrot cake with a cream cheese frosting. I mean, that's great. And if you serve it at a wedding, no one expects it, and everyone will be so happy.
They really are.
Yeah, you're
no raisins in that, by the way. Gillian?
I'm defending cable news this week. A lot of criticism about the way folks covered the Egypt air crash. Kind of accused folks on air, contributors of being like fear-mongering and pushing the terrorism narrative. But I want to point out to people that there's a real practical component here. Whenever a government thinks that terrorism is a possibility, you need to pursue it right away because it bring all these resources to bear on it that you otherwise wouldn't. So there's good reason to do it.
All right, Gavin.
I couldn't agree more. Fear-mongering is good. Terrorism is bad. My boys, Eagles of Death Metal, just had a bunch of shows canceled because they noticed things at the Bataclan where 89 fans were killed. Jesse saw 7 die before his very eyes, and now he's a pariah for saying he should be dubious of terrorism.
Last word.
I just think that on paper, everything in my life seems to be going really well. But I don't feel fulfilled, and I don't know what's missing. What do you guys think? Big laugh.
Thanks, Alan Dershowitz, Gillian Turner, Gavin McInnes, Joanne, Katherine, Jeremiah Pate, studio audience. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America.